Merry Christmas and welcome to the 12th Horseshoe Podcast, live on Surf Sports and on our channel. Jack Rizzo, Elijah Weintraub, welcome to our Week 16 recap and Week 17 pick show, all in one episode. Merry Christmas and welcome. We're sponsored today by Pro Italian Eatery in Moonachie, New Jersey. And Jack, how are we doing on this Christmas morning?
Well, it's Christmas Eve, Eli, not Christmas Day yet, but it's a great morning
It's
though.
still morning.
It's snowing outside. Looks like you might have a white Christmas this year. Don't know the last time we had one of those, but it's a great morning to do a show, Eli, and a lot to talk about with Week 16 and a lot to talk about with Week 17 upcoming as well.
All right, we're going to recap first Week 16. We talked about the Broncos' loss to the Chargers, 34-7, 27 on our last show on Friday. If you missed it, go check that out. But the first game we're talking about is Patrick Mahomes. He's back. Who said he had an injury? Because he took care of business against the Texans without a doubt on Saturday. He won again. The Chiefs won against the Texans 27-19, proving to be unstoppable heading into the playoffs in just a matter of about 3 weeks, maybe 4 if they get the bye.
Well, Eli, the Chiefs did exactly what they expect them to do. They won this game, and they won it by one score. That's what they love to do.
Yes,
Um, Prayers for Tank Dell. That was a
that was horrible.
nasty-looking knee injury, so hope he's going to be okay. But a great way for the Chiefs. They are, I believe, they're 1 win away now from locking up the top seed in the AFC.
Yep.
Texans have won the division. They're basically locked into the 4 seed at this point. So just trying to play for some momentum going into the playoffs. And they played well on Saturday. They stayed in it with the Chiefs, but ultimately Kansas City was able to come out on top. Houston's got a lot of injuries to deal with, so it's probably something to watch out for as we get to the postseason.
Yes, and that Tank Dell injury, as you mentioned, was pretty severe. That definitely changed the momentum in that game for Houston. But throughout the rest of the game, there's a whole different mindset, and we hope for the best for Tank Dell, and we'll see how they can battle the injuries as we head towards the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Ravens, they beat the Steelers without a doubt, 34-17 in a big win there. Steelers off to their second straight loss coming last week from Philadelphia, but Steelers proving that they cannot beat good big teams, and the Ravens proved that they are worthy of heading to the playoffs and that they could get the job done potentially.
I still don't believe Eli in this Ravens team. I think they're kind of frauds. I don't really believe in them. They've shown some really bad games this year. I mean, that loss to the Eagles a couple weeks ago, they just did not play well the whole game.
Right.
So sure they won today, but I don't think either of these teams are going to go far in the playoffs. I don't think the Ravens nor the Steelers really have it in them this year. But it was a good win for the Ravens. They finally beat the Steelers. They've only done that once since 2019 or since 2020. So
That is right.
good job by the Ravens in that regard. The Ravens have a tough game next week against Houston on Christmas Day, so we'll see how that goes. And then the Steelers have another tough one against Kansas City, but it'll be interesting to see how these two teams play out as the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And by the way, Jack went 10-6 this week, and I went 9-7. He went 2-1 on LSU, and I went 1-2 on Lock Survivor upset. So a rough week for me, good week for Jack. Next game where the Rams took care of business with the Jets, 19-9, a low scoring one there. The Rams need to win their next two, and they're heading to the playoffs. But however, if Seattle loses this week and the Rams win, then the Rams will move on to the next round. They're moving to the playoffs. Seattle will be eliminated. So really, they need to win these next two in order to head to the playoffs. And their big test will be against Seattle in Week 18 coming up. That is if Seattle does lose to the Bears on Thursday. Overall, though, the Jets proving that they are the same old Jets, that they cannot win football games. The Rams proved, well, we're going to beat the Jets today.
Yeah, this was a really fast-moving game. Not too many drives in this game and a very low-scoring game, but give credit to the Rams defense. They've really played well the last 2 weeks. They've really taken over this team, and they're going to be the reason why I think the Rams win the division and make it to the playoffs. And this nightmare of a season for the Jets is almost over. I'm sure their fans can't wait for the season to be over.
All right, and meanwhile, the Falcons, they took care of the business with the Giants 34-7. No surprise there. The Giants are not the team that they are this year, and the Falcons proved to be a fantastic, proved to get a win, no problem. And they're still fighting for that playoff spot. They're still in it to win it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's right, Eli. The Falcons are in first place in the division now with Tampa Bay losing. Remember, the Falcons swept the Bucs, so if they finished with the same record, the Falcons would hold the tiebreaker. Michael Penix had a good debut, didn't throw a touchdown, but overall looked pretty solid. And the Falcons' defense with those 2 pick sixes was really the difference in this one. And we'll see what happens with the Falcons. The Falcons now control their destiny. They win their next 2 games, and they're the NFC South champs and get a home game in the playoffs. So we'll see how it plays out. Giants are in position to get the first overall pick. All they got to do is lose their final 2 games, and then the first overall pick is theirs for the taking.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the Colts took care of business with the Titans in a very low fashion score, 38-30, the final there.
Yeah, this isn't really a win for the Colts. They nearly blew a 31-point lead. I really don't have much to say. I mean, it was a good game for Jonathan Taylor. Good game for the Colts rushing offense. That's really all I've got. Neither team is going to be in the playoffs, so we'll
That
see
is
what
correct.
happens.
Meanwhile, another shock here, and it went to overtime. The Panthers defeated the Cardinals in overtime, 36-30. That was a very back-to-back close-scoring game. It came down to the wire, but the Panthers held the tape together, and they got the victory here. Shocked about that one. I really thought the Cardinals would pull it together, but hey, Panthers, they're winning these football games at the wrong time. Where was this in the beginning where they could still fight for a playoff spot? But now no elimination. They're just having fun, I guess, playing football. And they
Well,
got the win.
well, Eli, am I surprised the Panthers won? No, I'm not. I thought there was a chance they could win, but I am surprised of how high scoring this game was.
Yeah.
36-30. I was not expecting that. But Bryce Young had one of his best games as a pro. He's done a great job since he came back from the benching. And the Panthers had a really strong effort here at home. And the Cardinals officially eliminated from the playoffs with this loss.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the Eagles, they lose to the Commanders 36-33 in a very, very tight game. I was not expecting this game to be very tight at all, but apparently it did come down to this tight. And big win for the Washington Commanders, who are also not eliminated from the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. They're still in it to win it, and they just need to keep on winning games, and they're into the playoffs without a doubt. So tough test down the line. But what are your thoughts on this Commanders team beating a very tough Philadelphia team?
Well, Eli, the Eagles would have won this game if Jalen Hurts did not get hurt.
That's true.
That's the bottom line. And I think he really proved this game, like how great of a quarterback he is, and that he's not overrated. But overall, great win for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels did his thing, had 5 total touchdowns. I believe 5 touchdown passes, actually. And the Commanders' defense really stepped up in the second half. They allowed 21 points in the first quarter, but they only allowed 12 points the rest of the game after that. So give some credit to the Commanders. And I definitely think they're going to be in the playoffs. Actually, they might be able to clinch if they win next week. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I definitely think the Commanders will be playing January football. This is a really fun, young team, and I'm interested to see how they play against some of the tougher NFC opponents in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the Lions, they defeated the Bears 34-17. No surprise there. Lions got a big victory here, but where was this Lions team on Thanksgiving? No, we did not see it.
Well, Eli, yeah, it was a great win for the Lions. Great game for Jahmyr Gibbs. Great game for really the whole offense. And the defense had another strong effort. Lions are still in position to get the top seed in the NFC, but they have not secured it yet. I don't even think they can secure it this week. It's going to come down to that game against Minnesota in Week 18, which will probably get flexed to Sunday night. That's going to be an awesome game. Really looking forward to that one.
Yes, indeed. And now the next game, we've got the Browns. They lose to the Bengals 24-6. I don't know why I picked them for upset. This was just a dumb pick there. But the Bengals had a big victory here, 24-6 over the Browns. And no surprise, Bengals, they tried. But unfortunately, they are eliminated from the playoffs. So it's not going to be a good run ahead for them. But they got the win, though.
It's so unfortunate, Eli, that Joe Burrow's incredible season has been put to waste by how bad this Bengals defense has been. Now, to be fair, the Bengals are still alive in the playoffs. If the Bengals make the playoffs, I think Joe Burrow absolutely needs to be in the MVP discussion. If they miss, he won't be. But if they make it, should be in the discussion. Jamar Chase has had a great season as well. I honestly kind of hope the Bengals make the playoffs here because they deserve to be. With the season that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson have had, they deserve to be in the playoffs. And we get to see them on display. But we'll see what happens there. But the Bengals sweep the Browns. I don't even know the last time I think it was 2017 the last time the Bengals swept the Browns. So good job by Cincinnati in that regard.
All right. Well, the next game on the list here, we got the Vikings. They took a big victory over the Seattle Seahawks 29-17. Seattle cannot win these home games. Now, what happens with Seattle? Well, if they lose Thursday night and Rams get a victory, Rams move to the playoffs. Seattle will be out because they got the win this weekend and Seattle did not. If they do win it, it'll come down to Week 18 to see who goes to the playoff run and hopes for the Super Bowl. That's what it basically goes when it comes down to. But Seattle cannot win these home games. So hopefully on the road for the next two, it'll give Seattle the advantage. And hopefully with playoff Seattle mode, home field advantage would mean something. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, let me just correct you real quick, Eli, because the score is 27-24, not 29-17. I think that's the next game we're doing.
Yeah, my bad. Read the wrong score.
The Vikings won Justin Jefferson with 2 more touchdowns. Sam Darnold had a great game. Vikings defense did their thing. Not surprised at all by this result. I picked the Vikings to win. And the Vikings are just a really great team. They still have a chance at that number 1 seed in the NFC. And there's a real chance they get it. This is a really strong, complete football team. And I'm looking forward to what they can do in the playoffs. They're a really good football team. Nobody's going to want to go up against them.
Absolutely. The next one we have the Niners defeated the Dolphins 29-17. There you go. Now I got the right one.
Yep.
And no surprise there. Niners lose to the Dolphins. That's what happened. And proving that the injuries are battling. And yeah.
No surprise here. 49ers eliminated from the playoffs. It actually happened before this game started, but Miami was the healthier team. They showed it in this game. Miami still technically not eliminated from the playoffs, but they're going to need a lot of help to get in. So it's probably very unlikely, but hey, they kept their hopes alive this week. So we give credit to them, and we'll see how they do, but they have to go on the road the final 2 weeks of the season.
That's going to be interesting indeed. Meanwhile, the Patriots lose to the Bills 24-21. That was a close game.
Yeah, Eli, it happens. That's usually what happens in these division games. I mean, we can talk about. I mean, the Chiefs almost lost to the Raiders a couple of weeks ago.
I know, and the Broncos.
Yeah, and the Lions almost lost to the Bears on Thanksgiving. Every team will have a game like this, but the Bills still came out on top. Though their defense played really well, but you got to give a lot of credit though to New England. I think they've got a really bright future with Drake May at the helm, and I think they're going to be a team to watch out for in a couple seasons.
All right. Well, the next game, Raiders somehow defeated the Jaguars 19-14. This is going to mess up their draft positioning big, unless the Giants, of course, decide to win football games, which is a possibility. And yeah, that's what happened. The Raiders took care of business.
Yep. Well, the Raiders kind of threw away their draft pick. They dropped 5 spots with this win. Yeah. But overall, though, good game. Aiden O'Connell, probably one of his best games as a starter. And the Raiders were ultimately able to pull out the win. That's really all I've got there.
And the Buccaneers, they lose to the Cowboys 26-24 in a low score, not a low score, in a interesting fashion loss. Came down to a pick, and the Cowboys win the game. Cowboys are eliminated. Buccaneers are still in it to win it. It's amazing what happened.
This one shocked me, Eli. I thought the Bucs were going to dominate, but ultimately their self-inflicted wounds allowed the Cowboys to win, along with 2 Brandon Aubrey 58-yard field goals. But the Bucs kind of hurt themselves in this one, Eli, and now they don't control their own destiny anymore to win the NFC South. This was a letdown game for the Bucs, and they're going to need some help now from either the Commanders or the Panthers, who the Falcons have the final 2 weeks if they want to make the playoffs.
In the final game, well, another weak team, another easy win, and the first shutout of the season. The Packers defeated the Saints 34-0. However, if we look at the Packers' win record, it's against only the weak teams that they've beaten. They've lost to all the tough and good teams that are playoff-worthy teams. And the only team that they did beat that was playoff-bound is the Texans so far, but we kind of have to minus them out because of injuries now. So this is kind of like, what is going to happen with this Packers team come playoff time? This is great that they got the big wins and stuff, but can they win playoff football games? Can they be a dominant team in the playoffs? These are all questions to ask. Are they going to play stronger teams and they can't handle it? That's all questions to be asked. But for right now, it's a big win for them as they head into week number 17. And their next week's opponent will be the Vikings, which is a tough game.
Well, Eli, I'm not even going to get into trash talking in 11-14 because that's what the Packers are, and they're winning the games that they're supposed to. So you got to give them credit there.
Absolutely.
34-0 over the Saints. First shutout of the season. I can't believe it took us this long to get there, but we did. The Packers were 14-point favorites, which is really big, and they still covered the spread by 20 points. The Saints are just horrible, Eli. I can't believe they started the season 2-0 and look that good because now they look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. That's really all I've got. And that's it for Week 16. And give credit to John Randall, who's on. I believe he only got 2 games wrong.
Yeah.
With the prediction. That's what he texted me. I'll take his word for it. I'm pretty sure he only got 2 games wrong.
Hey, shout out to him. He did really good on the picks.
Yep.
Not like me. I need to take notes, John.
Yeah.
Time for Week 17 picks. Jack.
All right, let's get it started. We have a lot of games on different days this week. We have 5 games. We have in a span of 6 days. 5 of those days will be covered with NFL games. We'll start off with our Christmas doubleheader. Both games are exclusively on Netflix starting at 1 p.m. Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs taking on the Steelers and in Pittsburgh, Kansas City favored by 3. Yeah, I'm done, riding the Steelers. Their Linsanity runs over. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs 24-21 to lock up that number 1 seed in the AFC and a first round bye and home field advantage in the playoffs. Eli?
Well, I cannot underestimate the Kansas City Chiefs. It's got to be the Chiefs. 27-21 is my final.
Okay, well, George Pickens may be back for the Steelers this week, so it's a big return for the Chiefs win. Next up, Ravens taking on the Texans, 4:30 in Houston. The Ravens favored by 5.5. I think the Texans just have too many injuries. I'm taking the Ravens here 28-23. It feels like the Texans are pretty much locked into that 4 seed. I don't really think they have much to play for these final 2 weeks.
Correct.
So I think ultimately the Ravens get the win here on the road.
Ravens are going to get the win here on the road 27-24. They're still fighting for some top spots. Texans don't have much to worry about, and they just need to stay healthy.
That's right. The Ravens still have a chance at that AFC North. Next up, Thursday Night Football, 8:15 on Prime Video. The Seahawks taking on the Bears. Seattle favored by 3.5. I hate picking Seattle games because I'm usually wrong. I was right last week, so that definitely made me happy. But I definitely could see the Bears winning this game, but I'm still going to take the Seahawks to win. But a very close one, 19-17, because we know the Seahawks like to keep things close.
Well, if the Seahawks lose this game and the Rams win, we know what's going to happen. Seattle is going out of the playoffs. So that's why I have to pick Seattle to win this game 23-20 in a close one.
All right, let's move to our Saturday triple header. All 3 games on NFL Network. We'll start off with the Chargers taking on the Patriots in New England. The Chargers can clinch a playoff spot with a win, and that's what they're going to do. Give me the Chargers 23-14 here in this one.
They want to eliminate as many teams as possible, and that's what they're going to do. 30-18, the Chargers get the victory.
All right, we have a great game right here. 4:30 on NFL Network. Broncos taking on the Bengals.
Great game.
Yep, that's right. Bengals are favored by 3. If either of these teams win out, they're in the playoffs, I believe. So the Bengals, Pat, they need to win out. They need the Broncos to lose out, and they need the Colts to win out. That's how the Bengals can make the playoffs. And the Broncos, if the Broncos win here today, they're in the playoffs. And I believe if the Chargers and the Broncos both win, then the Colts and the Bengals are both eliminated, and the Dolphins as well. But I'm going to take the Broncos here. It's actually my upset of the week, 28-27. I think they bounce back from that loss to the Chargers, and I think the Broncos lock up a playoff spot in Bo Nix's rookie season.
It's not my upset, but I agree on this one. Broncos 32-28.
All right, next up, let's go to our final game, 8 p.m. NFL Network. Rams taking on the Cardinals. The Rams nearly a touchdown favorite here. Yeah, I don't really like this Cardinals team. I don't think they're very good. Rams are the better team. That defense playing incredibly well. So give me the Los Angeles Rams to win 20-12 here at home.
It's technically an upset pick, but it's not my upset for the week. My upset will be the Cardinals defeating the Rams 28-24. They kept it close last week, and they're going to get a victory here.
I am shocked about that pick, but I don't think it's a crazy pick. I could see it happening. Well, let's go to our Sunday afternoon games. We'll start with the Colts and the Giants, 1 p.m. on Fox at MetLife. Colts are favored by 7.5. I don't really like this Colts team. I don't think they're very good, but the Giants are basically playing for nothing at this point. They want that number 1 overall pick, so that means the Colts get a win by 1 point, 13-12 is the final.
My upset pick of the week. Give me the New York Football Giants to defeat the Colts 24-20. Here are my reasons why, because I know America's going to go crazy after I say this. Why? Kenny Albert's on the call for the Colts. And as we all know, he does not have a good history with the Colts. In them winning games when he's on the call for the games. Second, this Giants team is going to somehow find a way to mess up and get a victory when they don't need a victory.
I kind of hope that happens, honestly. That would be amazing.
That would be hilarious.
It would help
and that is the reasons why I have to pick the New York Giants to win the football game.
It would help the Colts with their draft positioning. Well, I don't think you're going to be right, Eli. I think I don't.
I know I'm probably going to be wrong, but you know what? I'm going to take it anyways.
All right, I respect it. Raiders taking on the Saints, 1 p.m. on Fox. This is probably the most boring game of the entire week. Saints win 14-10. That's all I've got. I don't even really want to talk about this game,
Despite their shutout loss, it's got to be the Saints, 15-12.
All right, next up, Cowboys taking on the Eagles. This game's been flexed to 1 p.m. on Fox. It was originally in the 4:25 slot. Exactly. Thank God. Now, we'll see if Jalen Hurts plays in this game. If Jalen Hurts does not play, the Cowboys could absolutely have a chance to win this game with the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks. But despite that, even if Kenny Pickett plays, I'm still taking the Eagles 21-20. I'm picking that score with precaution. If Jalen Hurts is playing, it's a much bigger win, but I can't assume that he plays. So I'm taking the Eagles only by 1 point, but they still get the win here at home.
It's regardless of who is the quarterback. The Eagles are just that team, and it's going to be them with the victory, 30-21. Give me fly, Eagles, fly, Philadelphia.
Next up, Jets at the Bills, 1 p.m. on CBS. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, that this is the game you have to do this week. But the Bills are favored by 10. The Bills are going to win 27-13. It's my lock of the week. Eli?
My lock of the week. Give me the Buffalo Bills, 32-22.
Next up, 1 p.m. on CBS, Panthers taking on the Bucks. Obviously, Tampa Bay no longer controls their they no longer control
Destiny.
their fate. Yeah, their destiny in the NFC South. So they're going to need some help from the Falcons. But I think the Bucks will take care of business themselves. But it's going to be close, 17-14, because the Panthers have been playing well. They almost beat the Bucks a couple weeks ago, so I don't want to underestimate Carolina. But the Bucks will still get the win.
Buccaneers get the victory here, 36-33.
Next up, Titans at the Jaguars, 1 p.m. on CBS. These two teams both eliminated. Both are probably going to be picking in the top 5. Jacksonville is actually the favorite here by 1, but I'm going to go with an upset. I'll take the Titans to win 17-13.
Wow.
I think they're just a slightly better football team. So give me the Tennessee Titans.
It's going to be a tough game, but I think the Jaguars are going to pull it off. Give me the Jags, 24-23.
Next up, 4:05 on CBS. This was originally a Sunday night game, but now it's 4:05. Dolphins taking on the Browns. Miami favored by 6.5. Not technically eliminated yet, but there's a chance they could be eliminated before this game even starts. Dolphins will win, though, 27-23 over the Browns.
26-20, Dolphins, Survivor, pick of the week.
All right, I like it, Eli. Next up, game of the week, 4:25 on Fox. Packers taking on the Vikings.
They flexed it. So happy.
To be honest, Eli, Green Bay doesn't really have much to play for here. They're pretty much going to be locked into the 6th seed no matter what happens. This is really all about the Vikings, Eli. The Vikings, with a win, they set themselves up for a winner-take-all Week 18 game over the Lions on Sunday night. If they lose, it's going to be much tougher for them to obtain that.
Absolutely.
This game's in Minnesota, Eli. I love the Packers. I still think the Packers are going to go far in the playoffs, but I'm taking the Vikings here by 3 points, 30-27 to beat the Packers. But Eli, back to your point, with the Packers having not beat any good teams this year, if they beat the Vikings, that argument completely goes away.
That is 100% true.
Yep. If they beat them, though.
If is the word.
Exactly, but will they?
But in my book, they're not. Give me the Minnesota Vikings and a close one, 29-28.
I agree. Next up, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 on NBC. This is really not a great Sunday night game. I don't know why they flexed this into Sunday night and not Packers-Vikings.
Well, because Commanders are technically still in the fight for a playoff spot. The Falcons are technically control their destiny right now for first place. Not first place, in the first place in the division and potentially a playoff spot. That's why they flexed it.
I still don't like it, though. But either way, Falcons at the Commanders, 8:20 NBC. Washington favored by 4. And the Commanders will win 27-17 over the Falcons.
Commanders in a close one with the Eli Special, 26-23.
Next up, Lions at the Niners, 8:15 on ESPN and ABC. I'm going with the Lions here, but only by 7, 31-24. That's probably closer than some of you guys might think, but being in San Francisco, I think the 49ers might be able to keep this one a little bit interesting, but ultimately the Lions will still get the win.
49ers are battling a lot of injury, and that is the reason why I'm taking the Lions 38-21.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our Week 16 recap and Week 17 picks here on Surge Sports TV. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And we will see you for our Week 17 recap next year. I believe this is our last episode of 2024. So
yes. All right.
Thank you guys all for
Merry
following
Christmas.
us in 2024.
Go Devils,
happy
go Seahawks.
holidays. And we'll see you in 2025. Goodbye, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Go Devils, go Seahawks.